Welcome to day 298 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of March 2019, which was Captain Marvel.
When you said March, I thought you were gonna say Marvel.
The highest grossing film of Marvel. No, well, okay, it did pass a billion somewhat recently, so that now you know where we are in terms of actual timeline here. I think, let's see, because okay, the three Avengers film did that, and then I think others it was Iron Man 3 and Civil War. And,
Civil War I can understand.
And Black Panther.
Okay,
so I think that's it though. I think the rest are below that. But so anyway, kind of don't know where to start because
I'm like also trying to think.
Yeah. Well, okay. Ultimately, I liked it.
Yeah, it was a really good movie.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
I guess okay. We're so.
I think the thing that got me like the most was just seeing the friendship that formed between Nick Fury and Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And they didn't like romanticize it either.
Right, that's nice. Well, here's something that I don't understand. I've heard a lot of people, even people who say they like the movie, they say that, like, I guess, like, the thing that they like the least is that they think Captain Marvel herself is, like, not that great.
What?
Huh? Like, I don't understand. Like, okay, is she, like, amazing? No, but, like, she's not even, I wouldn't even say she's, like, neutral. Like, she's totally fine. I don't see any issue with her whatsoever. So...
Yeah, I really liked her. Like, I just like how just fuck all she is sometimes. She's just like,
yeah,
I do what I want.
No, that's something, okay, because I thought when she comes to Earth, I'm like, oh, this is going to be like, kind of, the fish out of water story. She doesn't understand how Earth works and the bad technology, and they don't do that. She's just like, I'm here, I got shit to do, let me do my shit, right? And it's like, okay, cool, thank you, so, because that was one thing, like for example, Thor kind of did a little bit the fish out of water, but not that much. It wasn't, like, annoying, right? So I was like, oh, is this just going to be kind of like the first Thor movie again? But no, it's not, so... Yeah, I like that. Definitely.
When you said technology, I immediately thought to the Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, and Radio Shack, we were just like, wait, what time period is this?
1995.
Well, I knew that it was like, I knew it was not like present day.
Yeah.
But I had the impression that it was the 80s, but then when I saw the Blockbuster and the Radio Shack...
Oh, no, it's 1995.
Yeah. When I learned that in the film, I was like, oh, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, me and Valen are both like 1 year old, and
I might have been born by now because I'm like, surprise, I'm an April baby, so I might have been born, but I might not have.
I mean, it was LA where she landed, and
actually, like, some of the parts of LA, like the station that she exited out of, like, me and Tara were at Anime Expo last year, and that was like one of the stations we went to.
Yeah, so, we were like, wait a minute, we know that.
That's funny.
So we were actually in that area of LA that she was in at the time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I like her. Nick Fury is great because Samuel Jackson is like great in like literally everything.
Yeah.
And I like that. There's something else. Oh. The Skrull guy.
Yes!
I liked him. Yeah. And actually, I realized he is, again, he's the guy from Rogue One, who is also Ready Player One. Yeah, it's the same dude. I'm like, I recognize the voice, and I was like, oh, it's that guy again. I think it's...
But this time he's a good guy.
Yeah, I know. So, well, that's actually, again, I like that, where it's the whole kind of reversal of, like, who's the good guy and the bad guy, which, again, you could say is, like, not, like, super profound or whatever, but, it's something. Because I noticed, near like the middle of the film, they bring up like on the hologram thingy, one of the Kree guy, he's talking to Ronan, who was he was the villain of Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, at first I was like, oh, are they gonna do the whole thing where it's like he's like an extremist and the Kree don't really like him even though he's part of them? But no, it's just like, I mean, that kind of seems like what it is, but it's a little bit more, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting that they brought him up, because I was like, I thought I remembered, I'm like, wait, didn't he mention, like, Kree or something at one point during Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't really remember, so I was like, oh, okay, so kind of bring him in.
So that's where you remembered him, Mai,
Yeah.
because originally you asked if the guy was from Avengers, and I was like, no, I don't think he was from
Oh.
there. So you probably remembered him from Guardians then.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe vaguely, because like to be honest, I wasn't like super invested in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, so that probably just flew over my head, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe it's just the aliens from Avengers.
I mean,
'cause
also,
there
to be
were-
fair, Ronan himself was not that interesting in Guardians 1.
No.
So, yeah. But, yeah, and actually it made me wonder, because I don't think this is related, but the Skrull, they do kind of look like the bad guy from Thor Dark World.
Oh,
It's
really?
probably a coincidence, and maybe I'm just, like, remembering him kind of wrong, because, again, that guy was, like, really forgettable, and who cares? I doubt, there's any, like, plot really relevance there, but I may be wondering, like, is that a thing? I don't think so, though, because
I imagine if you recognized him from Rogue One and Ready Player One, then you would have recognized him.
Right, no, it definitely
in Dark
wasn't
World.
the character, I'm just saying the species.
Oh, okay.
Right, but again, I'm pretty, like, they never referred to him as, like, a Skrull. I mean, they had,
Right.
I think they called him, like, this sounds so lame, a dark elf or something. Like, I'm serious. Again, that movie's kind of dumb, but anyway. Yeah, so, but yeah, I liked him. I like, yeah, because basically they're kind of, those are the three main characters, right? Him,
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, and Nick Fury, and yeah, I like all of them.
Goose.
Well, yeah. Actually,
But-
the stuff with him, because you think that was the whole thing with the Tesseract, and I was like, geez, how much shit has the Tesseract been involved with? Like,
Like, you've seen it here, you've seen it in Thor, you've seen it in Captain America.
I
Avengers
thought it would
1.
have been one of the other stones.
Yeah, because I like, geez, the Tesseract's been in like 5 movies, like the other stones are like just in 1, and it's like, well, I guess Loki's, that one, I think that's the Mind one, has like, it's been in several, but still, it was just kind of like, give some attention to another one, damn, like.
I guess the only other like thing I could think of is because like the Tesseract is like bound to Earth, and we're kind of like in the earthy area, but like
Mhm.
Marvel was
Yeah.
also Kree, so I thought maybe they could have like found a different stone, like maybe the red stone.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
mean, it
guess
doesn't
not.
matter, but really, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's the Tesseract again. But actually, that did make me think, because the question is like, how are they going to, reverse the snap and defeat Thanos, right, in Endgame?
Yeah.
And I was like, especially in terms of the Infinity Stones, I was like, wait, if Captain Marvel, the whole thing is that she got her powers from the Tesseract, which is the Space Stone. So I'm thinking
Oh.
maybe that is like some connection that might happen. Where it's like,
Oh.
because she may have some like Space Stone kind of powers, she can kind of like do something. I don't really know, because if I remember from the end of Infinity War, after he does the snap, the gauntlet's all like fucked up, right? And like the stones seem to like be not working. So it's maybe she can like restart it somehow. I don't know, right? That's kind of an idea. But I have heard one thing that people kind of mention is also kind of, I guess, like I don't know if concern is the right word, but it's like, it's like how we said for Vision after Ultron, where it's like she seems too good, and it's kind of like, how do we get like a balance in here that kind of makes sense in terms of her fighting people, and in terms of like her own movies or stuff, because I presume there's going to be sequels and stuff, like I don't have a problem with that. Like, of course they can, I'm sure they can have villains that are up to par with her in terms of that kind of stuff, so that's fine. But yeah, I do kind of wonder, like, in terms of Thanos and other stuff like that, how they're kind of going to handle that exactly. I'm not sure, right? I'm not saying it's going to be a problem. It could be totally fine. I'm just kind of curious.
Oh, actually, going back to your other point with like how people found her disinteresting and stuff,
Uh-huh.
I think like the reason, I'm not saying that I agree with this, I'm just assuming that this is the reason. I think it's because the thing with her is that she lost her memories, so she doesn't really know what her identity is anymore for like much of the thing. But usually when it's like I'm thinking of like the Bourne identity in a sense like this, where it's kind of like the whole point of the movie is, okay, like finding your identity and stuff, and then once you find your identity, then you kind of like understand who this person is and stuff. Not really in the Bourne Identity, but it's a thing that happens in like a lot of films and stuff.
Yeah.
With her, she, even though she like figured out like who she was at one point and everything, it didn't fundamentally change her or anything.
Right. If anything, you could kind of argue that like once she knows the truth of what's going on, she kind of like it said, well, okay, this is the truth, but like I don't care, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I guess for that reason, people are like, well, we kind of want to know, but it's like she doesn't want to know, so it's like that.
Well,
I'm assuming that's probably.
Because from what I remember, and again, I don't have like quotes pulled up. I'm not Last Jediing this, but like I remember it was stuff like, you know, her personality is not very interesting, and I'm like, again, I was coming into this with that in mind. I'm like, what? Like, she's totally fine. She, you know, she has the person. She definitely has. So I'm like, is this one of those things where like people are just, you know,
they're just mad that Captain Marvel's a woman now?
Well, not even because okay, there are people who are like that, but there's others where it's like, it's maybe not quite to that degree, but you have like an implicit bias where like you are more critical of like women over stuff. Because again, I'm thinking like. This character is really, in terms of also going back to the thing with like, oh, is she too strong? I'm like, you could make that exact argument with Thor.
Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah, so I'm like, but nobody really complains about that, right? So it's kind of a situation, and it's like, because I know what Marvel movies do people kind of seem to say that like the other ones that they seem to argue it's not as good as like most people say, and it's kind of getting too much credit, and that the main character is like not as good as people say. It seems to be this and Black Panther, and I'm like, coincidence that, you know, I don't know, or maybe, again, I mean, to be fair, I don't think, like, okay, do I rank Captain Marvel and Black Panther, the characters, like, up there with, like, Tony Stark or Peter Parker? No, but, like, they're fine. I have no problem with them, right? So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I
liked her. Yeah.
Yeah, I like her. So
the fact that with what her personality is and everything she's been through, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Too. And I was also happy that it didn't go the route of this is because she's a girl, feminism and all that stuff too. Because I was kind of like, I didn't want that push either.
Yeah.
But it didn't like slap you in the face. It was kind of like, this is who she is. And take it as you will, kind of.
And I was kind of thinking about like Captain Marvel compared to like some of the other like female superheroes, and I was like, okay, Black Widow I had to warm up to because we could only see her actual personality with Captain America, like them together. You see their friendship and how she like actually acts as a normal person, not like an assassin. Wanda, we have a pretty decent idea of how she's like. It's just that she's very traumatized still, so she's still very closed.
Yeah.
But the main person that this might sound unfair. The person I most compared her to was Wonder Woman, the movie we didn't see.
That makes sense.
And like after a while, I was just like, I feel like I do like Captain Marvel, a little bit better, because I guess the thing is that the whole like trying to figure out who you are, like just as an allegory, I feel like a lot of people can identify with that, because like when I was in college, I used to be like a science major, and then I had this catastrophic mental breakdown, and then by the end of it I became an English major. And that was just also kind of me like finding myself, like what I want to do with my life, and just thinking of how stressful like this work environment is. And whenever I have like trouble now, I always fall back on this idea of, I know who I am. I am a writer. I am an artist. And no matter how much shit gets thrown at me at work, I do know who I am. And with that, I can work through it.
And
so, yeah, it's like this thing with work, it doesn't really identify who I am. So it's kind of like how with her, it's like, she was quote-unquote Kree because someone told her she was. But then when she realized who she was like, okay, this is who I am human, but I will still use whatever I have to go forward and do what I need to.
Yeah. So. And I mean, from what I remember, I mean, it's been a while since I saw Wonder Woman, but from what I remember, if anything, I would argue that Wonder Woman's character is a bit less interesting than Captain Marvel's. Like, again, I don't think she's bad, but
yeah, she's not bad.
But Captain Marvel, she has more of a personality. She, the quips with Nick Fury and stuff like that. There's a bit more there. So, yeah, I mean, again, they're both good, but I like her Captain Marvel a bit more.
I guess the best reason to try to compare them just on a subjective level is the fact that they're the only two female superheroes with their standalone movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
None of the other ones have that, because, Wanda was introduced in Age of Ultron with her brother, and then Black Widow was always just kind of there, and as the movies kept going, she kind of became more elevated, and you learn more about her, but none of them ever had, their own movie where you see how they truly interact with people.
Yeah.
And, I guess I tend to be, a sucker for, friendship movies, and Nick Fury, everyone loves Nick Fury, everyone loves Sam Jackson, and by the way, if you guys didn't know, they digitally de-aged him.
Yeah, no, you cannot tell.
I wasn't able to tell. I was like, wow, Sam Jackson looks really handsome.
I know, right?
Yeah,
and,
him and Coulson, they're both digitally aged, and it's you literally cannot tell at all that there's any sort of effect on them. It's really impressive.
I thought they just put them in makeup or something.
No.
That said, the mid-credits scene at the end was really, really just when she came and asked for Fury, and you're just like, ew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his closest friend besides Maria. It's too bad we don't see this Maria, because we have Maria Hill, and I guess people usually know who she is, but it would have been interesting if this Maria or Monica, who grew up by this point, if we actually saw them but we didn't know who they were until this point. That would have been kind of interesting, but it's not super important.
Yeah.
I looked it up, but I think in the comics Monica becomes kind of similar to Captain Marvel. She gets superpowers.
Huh.
But I don't know anything about that. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of anything that I would say is a negative for this movie. I mean, I wouldn't say there was anything in this that I loved. I'm still probably, if I was to rank, the MCU films, I think this is somewhere kind of in the middle. But that's just because pretty much everything was just, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I guess one very last thing. In the very beginning, can everyone agree that it was a little bit confusing with how it was presented?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was worried. I was very worried in the beginning. I was just like, oh my god, is it gonna be as confusing as I forgot which other movie it was time jumpy. But as it kept going and became more coherent, I was like, oh okay, I was starting to understand it, and then they started to explain it, and then everything clicked.
Yeah, well,
So-
especially the part where Talos was going through her memories and everything too. That was really confusing.
Well, no, see that I realized what they were doing, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see what was going on. But I would kind of argue that pretty much everything leading up to that, I was kind of wait, what's going on? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Who are these people? Yeah. And their whole there was some quote unquote fight scene, but it was all in the dark, and I'm like, what is happening? So yeah, I feel if anything, that whole memory thing, that was basically when I started to understand things, even though that's that singular scene is confusing. But yeah, it was just
very risky from a storytelling point of view, but by the end of it, I'm just happy that it worked.
Yeah.
And I wasn't lost because of it.
Yeah, I guess that's okay. I guess that is a criticism I can say, is that the beginning, I don't know, 15 minutes is what the
It
fuck
can
is
be
going
very
on?
confusing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
But stick with it, and
Yeah.
You will understand it by the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I promise. Even halfway. Okay. So I guess now Shazam?
Okay, yeah, so I realized that I have seen in the last 3 days, 7 movies.
Wow.
So, again, Friday and Saturday, again, Friday nights we saw 2, Saturday nights we saw 2. Actually, okay, just a bit of context. We saw Infinity War last night, so that's on our minds.
This was a good layover because I cannot imagine watching Infinity War last year and waiting for, like, Endgame.
Yeah.
I would die. So.
Yeah, so there's that, and then, again, we saw this earlier today, and then because you guys are taking forever, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch Ant-Man and Wasp. So I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp today, and I actually like it a decent amount. Like, it's still kind of like a dumb movie, but, like, it's... I said I said this at some point, the first Ant-Man, like, my biggest problem with it is that I just find Scott to be pretty annoying. But he's not really... He's much better in this one. And in terms of interactions with people, and it's actually, it works, and, like, the humor is better, and, again, it's still kind of dumb, right? But, like, that's the point, right? So,
Right,
it's an entertaining movie, basically. But, so, speaking of that, the end of that movie,
I saw the end credits for that because I was curious.
So basically, the old guy Hank, his wife, who they rescue in the main part of the movie, and then Hope, all get disintegrated. But they get disintegrated right after they send Scott into the quantum realm, and he's stuck there, and I'm like, wait, how does he get out?
I guess that's how he was saved, but at the same time, he's also fucked right now.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because one of the Endgame trailers, it shows he's there, right? So I'm like, wait, what? How the fuck does he get out? But, okay.
I imagine either Bruce or maybe Stark will be able to get him out, because they're, the super smart ones, but Stark
Bruce
is in space right now.
Right, yeah, so probably Bruce, but whatever, I mean, I'm sure we'll find out, but I was just like, wait a minute. But yeah, okay, so I saw that. But then, before this, so yesterday I saw Shazam with my dad. And so there's a little history about Shazam and Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Because Shazam's original name was Captain Marvel.
What?
So, this is really confusing. There's a DC Comics character named Captain Marvel, and a Marvel Comics character named Captain Marvel. And so I was like, what the hell is this story behind this? Because this is just weird, right? So I looked it up, and I think I'm gonna get the names wrong, but I'll try my best. Okay, so in the 30s, this Superman just started pretty recently, and some stuff like that. And so back then DC was known as I think it was National Comics or something. It's the same company, but they just had a different name basically. But so this is the very beginning of this kind of stuff, and there was another smaller company, I think it was called Fawcett Comics or something, and they started producing a comic that was about this guy that they named Captain Marvel, and it was the whole thing where here's this kid who, if he says the word Shazam, he transforms into this guy Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel has super strength and can fly and all this kind of stuff, right? National Comics sued Fawcett Comics, saying that Captain Marvel was basically in too close to Superman.
Oh.
And because that sounds kind of ridiculous now, but again, this is the 30s, right? So So they basically sued, and they settled out of court, and basically Fawcett said, okay, yeah, we're not gonna make these comics anymore. Okay. So that Captain Marvel character existed and had some comics from, and he was pretty popular actually at the time, but then they stopped because of the lawsuit from National Comics, which would be DC. So then the lawsuit was over the character being too close to Superman. Okay. So then in the 50s, Marvel Comics has kind of shown up and has been doing their thing for a while, and they were like, we want to do some new ideas, and they were like, hey, here was this old superhero from the 30s that was named Captain Marvel. That would be a perfect name for one of our superheroes. And so they basically just took the name but nothing else. And so they were like, let's just have our own character named Captain Marvel, because because this character existed, but he's not in print anymore, so no one's really gonna care, right? So they took the name and they made their own thing with that. And I guess by then DC, I don't know if they were DC now or still National, whatever, but they kind of figured, okay, we're not going to sue people if they're close enough to Superman, but whatever. So then Captain Marvel had their own Marvel Comics had their own Captain Marvel stuff that was a completely separate character, just had the name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then in the 70s, if there was the 90s, I think it was the 70s.
20 years difference between
Right, yeah, I
both.
think that's what it was. So then in the 70s, DC Comics bought out that Fawcett Comics company that had Captain Marvel originally. Okay? So then all of their characters were now considered DC Comics characters. And so they were like, so now they're like, hey, here was this character that we kind of sued out of existence earlier, but now we, fuck it, let's bring him back, right? So then they bring back this guy as Captain Marvel, and so now there's 2 Captain Marvels, and so then now Marvel Comics sued DC
Oh my god!
because they were like, hey, you can't use this Captain Marvel because we have a Captain Marvel. So the lawsuit from the 30s was DC suing Fawcett over the character being too similar to Superman. And now in the 70s, there is a lawsuit of Marvel suing DC because of the name.
Wow.
What?
So, yeah, so there's this problem with the name situation. And eventually, I don't remember exactly how the suit went down, but DC basically, the issue wasn't the name of the character, the issue was the name of the comics. It was, Marvel was saying, you can't have your comics be Captain Marvel because that's our comics. So they didn't even have really a problem with the character being called Captain Marvel, the problem was the comics. So,
That makes sense.
so then DC started changing their comics to Shazam, but the character was still named Captain Marvel, and for example, like, he shows up in the Justice League animated show and also in Young Justice, and he's called Captain Marvel, but then more recently they're just like, oh, fuck it, we'll just call the character Shazam now. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, so it's confusing, but now I finally know, because I was like, wait, who came first, and like, how does this work, and whatever, so, yeah, so, and I guess, and again, we aren't seeing Shazam because, Shazam has come out April 2019, you know what else is coming out April 2019, but...
Rest in peace.
Yeah, but I will say this, it's strange. It's good strange.
So it's like Doctor Strange. Good
No,
Strange.
it's not. No, not that kind of strange. It's strange and not like what it shows, but how it shows it. So, because for example, the trailers look like very goofy, right? And it does have a lot of goofy stuff, and it is legitimately funny, and like a lot of that stuff in there, and it works really well. But there's like some actually pretty fucked up stuff in the movie.
Oh.
Like, there was when we went to see it yesterday, there was a lot of kids in the theater, like 10-year-olds or younger, and like. This movie's PG-13 for a reason. Like,
Oh.
let me put it this way. There's a moment where a father calls his son, you little shit, like, early in the movie. And, like, right when that happens, like, a mom, like, next to me was just like, oh no. Like, I could hear her voice, like, just immediately realize this was a bad idea bringing my kids to this movie.
Oh no!
And there's again, some of the violence is, like, again, there's no blood, but, like, some of it's, like, oh fuck, like, like, defenseless people, like, there's a defenseless person who literally just gets thrown out a window, and, like, you see it, like, you don't see him, like, splat, but, like, you see pretty much all of it, like, pretty harshly, and it's, like...
Ooh.
Again, it's, like, good lord. So, it's kind of funny that, like, this is the one that, has that, but... Because considering the trailers make it look so goofy, but... Because that's the thing, I've seen, like, even the reviews, they're like, oh, the movie is a great light tone, and I'm like, not for all of it! But like, yeah, I think that makes it better because it's funny in terms of how that works and goes between those changes, and it also like because there's like a good amount of kids in the movie and the kids act like kids, so that's good. If I had to compare the two movies, I probably like Shazam more just because it's stranger in terms of what happens and how things go. Where it's on again this like the plot for this is fairly standard. It's good standard, but it's but I like both of them, so. Yeah, so if you're curious, I'd say, well, go see both of them. But if you had to make me pick which one I like more, I would say I actually like Shazam more. But it is the best DC film. You think that's laughing, but that does mean that I do like it better than Wonder Woman and, well, I haven't seen Aquaman yet, but, yeah, so it's, I don't know. But, yeah, so it's good. If you had any cautions about seeing that, then go ahead and you can see that and see this and see things. So Anyway, just wanted to bring that up because I knew there was some weird stuff with that, and I was like, let me actually look into this. So
Nice trivia.
yeah,
Wow, that is quite a backstory.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny because they're both in theaters right now too.
right,
Like as of recording this too.
yeah. So
There were also a lot of kids when we went to see Captain Marvel, and there was this, I think, family who left a big mess. So I was like, I'm just gonna go throw out their popcorn.
oh yeah, I didn't. There was like I don't know. I think I said it was like I don't know, maybe a fifth or a fourth full. Not that many people.
Yeah, you said there weren't too many people.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet throughout the theater. I don't have any hilarious kids for any of this. But yeah, again from the Shazam viewing, also just like again some of the reactions to some of the stuff and like that mom just like being like, "Oh,
Oh,
no!"
no.
Like that was funny, but like everyone else, even though that theater is actually quite full, but there wasn't like anything that was annoying or anything. So I still think it's funny that so far the most annoying theater experience has been How to Train Your Dragon.
I guess that makes sense because it's a kid.
It's more
movie.
kiddie, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just
More immature parents too.
yeah. We're gonna. Endgame is gonna be an interesting theater experience.
Oh boy, it's gonna be 3 hours too.
That
Oh my god. Yeah.
and that also,
Everything else.
yeah, because we should see it. I don't know if we should see it the first week. Okay, we're definitely not seeing it like Friday or Saturday. But like,
No.
if we're
It's
like,
gonna be sold out Friday.
Yeah.
We were thinking maybe the week after.
well, because
might
like, I'm
actually
trying
be
to
better.
I'm trying to think like, you know, that Sunday, like again, kind of maybe the same time we saw this, right? Would that work, or would that be too crowded? I don't know, right? So we'll have to figure that out and how that's gonna go.
Considering when I typed, when I originally typed like Avengers Endgame, one of the results was Avengers Endgame pre-order tickets.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god.
Right. I know that that's like it's something like the most pre-ordered ticket like ever or something, but like, but again, people do that for like Friday nights or Saturday nights, right? So I don't know. Again, like Sunday at 1 p.m. Like, I don't know. We'll have to find out, right? So
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be interesting with all that stuff. But that's for next time, which for you guys will be 1 day, and for us will be at least I think 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Approximately.
3 or 4 weeks. So oh
Bye.
boy, bye.
See our tone change in the next one if
Oh,
it's
God.
like totally devastating.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.